You've probably heard of the 10,000-hour rule, right? This idea that if you just put in enough time, you'll eventually become a master. It's a really appealing idea, but what if it's not the whole story? What if just putting in the hours, well, isn't actually enough? Today, we're going to look at what the science really says about building world-class skills. And honestly, the answer might just change the way you practice anything, forever.
So think about a skill you've worked on. I mean, anything. Playing guitar, a sport, even something at your job. You see progress for a while, you're getting better, and then, bam, you hit a wall. You're still practicing, you're still putting in the time, but you just aren't improving anymore. It's super frustrating, right? And it turns out this is a really common experience. For most of us, just stacking up more experience doesn't automatically make us better. So, what's really going on? And look, this isn't just a feeling. It's actually backed up by a ton of research. All the way back in 1996, psychologists Erickson and Lehman put it pretty bluntly. The number of years you spend doing something is a pretty terrible predictor of how good you'll actually get. So what does that mean? It means just showing up, going through the motions, and passively getting experience, that's not the path to becoming a true expert. There's a secret ingredient missing.
So what is that missing ingredient? Well, it has a name. It's called deliberate practice, and this is the engine that drives expertise. This is how the best of the best really train.
And this really gets to the heart of it. See, most of us, we fall into what you could call routine practice. We're in our comfort zone, we're kind of on autopilot, just doing the thing we already know how to do. But deliberate practice, it is the exact opposite. It's not mindless repetition. It's a specific, super-structured kind of training that demands intense focus on the things you're bad at, constantly pushing you just a little bit beyond what you can currently do.
So what does this actually look like when you're doing it? Well, the research points to a really clear 4-step cycle. First, you set a hyper-specific goal. Not, I'm going to get better at tennis, but I'm going to increase my first serve accuracy into the left service box by 10%. See the difference? Second, you apply focused, 100% conscious effort. No distractions. Third, you get immediate feedback so you know exactly what's working and what's not. And finally, you reflect and you refine. It's this constant loop of reaching, sometimes failing, and always adapting that truly fuels growth.
Okay, so you're doing this. You're in this intense, focused cycle of practice. And let's be honest, it's hard work. So what's the end game? What is all this effort actually building inside your brain that separates a real expert from someone who's just been around for a while?
All that focused effort builds something called tacit knowledge, and you can think of it as the expert's intuition. It's their secret weapon.
So what makes tacit knowledge so special is that it's unbelievably hard to explain. You can't just write it in a textbook. It's that deep, almost instinctual understanding that lets an expert just know the right move to make. You know, think of a master chef who can't tell you the exact measurements. They just feel it. Or a seasoned detective who walks into a crime scene and just senses that something is out of place. It's knowledge you feel in your bones more than you can say out loud.
And this idea is absolutely central to what makes an expert an expert. The philosophers Hubert and Stuart Dreyfus totally nailed this. They argue that true mastery isn't about consciously following a checklist of rules. No, it's about reaching a level where your actions become fluid, intuitive, and so deeply ingrained that you can't even break them down into words anymore if you tried.
This is what we're talking about when we say someone has a gut feeling or a great instinct. But here's the kicker, and this is so important. The research shows this instinct isn't magic. It's not something you're just born with. It is painstakingly built piece by piece through thousands of hours of deliberate practice, stacking up all these experiences and patterns in your brain.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking right now. Thousands of hours of deliberate practice? That sounds like it could take forever. In a world that's moving so fast, is there any way to make this process more efficient? You know, can we get better, faster? And the answer is, yeah, kinda. While there's no magic pill you can take, there are proven methods for what researchers call accelerated expertise. It's all about getting better, faster, by being smarter about how you train.
So, how does this work? Well, it's about engineering better practice. The classic example is a pilot's flight simulator. It lets them safely practice high-stakes emergency situations over and over again. The whole idea is to create training experiences that are compact, that mimic real-world challenges, and that give you tons of immediate feedback. It's basically about compressing years of real-world experience into a much shorter amount of time.
And this is really the fundamental point about accelerated expertise. You can't skip the work. You can't bypass the need for a whole lot of effortful practice. But what you can do is make that practice way more effective.
The goal is to make sure every single hour you put in is structured to push your limits, to give you feedback, and to build that crucial tacit knowledge as efficiently as humanly possible.
So let's put all the pieces together. How do these big ideas, deliberate practice, tacit knowledge, and accelerated expertise actually connect to build you into an expert?
It's actually a pretty cool system when you see it laid out. Think of it like this. Deliberate practice is your engine. That's the focused hard work you're putting in. Tacit knowledge is your goal. That's the deep, intuitive mastery you're aiming for. And accelerated expertise, that's the smart cut, using clever, structured experiences to make your engine run way more efficiently toward that goal. The whole thing works together.
So if you boil it all down, the single biggest takeaway is this. True expertise is not about time served. It's about time invested, and invested intentionally. It's an active, strategic process of pushing yourself, reflecting on how you did, and refining your approach hour after hour after hour.
And that brings us to the final question. And really, it's a challenge for you. The next time you sit down to practice something, to work on a skill you care about, just stop for a second and ask yourself, is this next hour going to be just another hour of routine? Or am I going to make this an hour of deliberate, focused investment in my own future expertise? The choice, as they say, is yours.